The views and opinions expressed on the Quite Contrary podcast are not those of our sponsors, the Geeks Under the Influence Network, and to be honest, not even really the panelists of this podcast. Come on, guys. This is a debate podcast, so don't believe anything we say.
Final countermeasures are all Will has all this time. All Will has all this time. All this time.
And here we are yet again, geeks, with another episode of Quite Contrary. I'm Mike the Hobbit Bickett, host of the Geeks Under the Influence podcast, founder of the Geeks Under the Influence network, and host of Quite Contrary. And with me today to talk all things moon landing this episode is the Kron.
Howdy.
You may have been familiarized with Kron's antics on Geeks Under the Influence previously.
I prefer shenanigans.
Shenanigans? Yeah, that's still a nice way of putting you being just a complete dick.
That's the place with all the shit on the walls and the cheese sticks.
Yes. What's the name of that place? Tonight, what we're talking about on Quite Contrary is whether or not the moon landing was real, whether it was faked, like so many conspiracy theorists believe, or if it was actually a thing that happened using science. Before we continue on with anything else, let's go over our actual feelings on the matter. So, Kron, do you believe the moon landing actually took place?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that Neil Armstrong didn't, or not Neil Armstrong, that Buzz Aldrin didn't punch a guy over nothing. So yes, the moon landing is real.
I mean, he looks like he might have a temper on him, so you never know.
I mean, but I'm still pretty sure he punched that guy with good reason, and he still really wants to go to Mars.
Like he wants to get his ass to Mars?
He does want to get his ass to Mars.
He does wear Total Recall shirts on the radio.
Does.
Yeah.
He wears it. I bought a t-shirt from Redbubble that said "Get your ass to Mars." Didn't realize that he had the same t-shirt until I saw it in my Google ads later. I was like, it's the same shirt I just fucking bought. What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Kron about whether or not the moon landing happened. I believe it did in fact occur.
They clearly landed on the moon made entirely out of cheese with a face in it.
I mean, I've seen Wallace and Gromit. I know how this works. But tonight, we're not going to talk about our actual feelings on the matter. What we do, for those unfamiliar with Quite Contrary, we rock, paper, scissors to see what opinion we're going to have on it. Whoever wins gets to decide whether they're for or against the subject, and also starts with the first question in this debate. So really, our opinions don't matter. And you should not listen to anything that we say seriously, because we're all basically full of shit on this episode.
I mean, I might Google some shit.
Oh, Googling. I'm probably going to Google myself as well. But that's about it. Oh, a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. February 23rd at Strange Ways Brewing Company is the Beautiful Disasters movie night. Coming podcast on the Geeks Under the Influence network is going to be hosting a movie night once a month at Strange Ways. First one being a rock musical. This rock musical that is going to be a surprise includes Devo-like space aliens, a high school rockabilly band that do Battle of the Band style, while there's tentacle monsters in the local lake, and a crazed chainsaw killers escaped from the asylum, one of which is played by Michael Berryman. It also has a Jackson.
His face is fucked up.
That's why he always plays a crazy dude. He's actually a very sweet dude, though.
I mean, I've heard that he's a very, very nice human, but
very
his
nice
face is scary to look at.
Yes.
So, funny story about that. There was a movie that I saw on Netflix or downloaded recently that he was in, and I was like, yeah, it's got that guy that was in one of the Rob Zombie movies and Hills Have Eyes. She's like, who the fuck are you talking about? So I sure was like, oh, that's what his face looks like?
Yeah, that's just his face.
Yeah, she thought it was makeup, which we had a good laugh about. She thought that was just always makeup.
Nice.
Like, no, his face just looks that way. It's like fucking Rocky Dennis.
Oh, Jesus. So that's the hints on what movie we're going to be watching on February 23rd. You should come out and check it out. We're going to have a little conversation about movie and schlock and camp movies in general. February 23rd from 7:30 to 10 p.m. at Strange Ways Brewing Company on Dabney Road in Richmond, Virginia. All the information for that is at guipodcast.com.
That's the place that makes all the really strange beer out of cereals, right?
They do cereal beers. They do all sorts of cool sours and also just normal beers too. They have a large swath of beers to choose from. So there's a beer for every taste. They also, I believe, serve Bold Rock ciders as well for the non-beer drinkers. So
Really?
Yep.
So they've definitely changed stuff a lot since last time I was over there.
Yeah, and there's a really nice space in the back, right around all their barrels for barrel aging that we're going to be showing the movie. So it's
Nice.
plenty of space, good PA system for it.
And they're like right across the street from Loveland,
Yeah.
who carries my favorite beer in town.
Oh, the PBR.
They do
yeah.
carry the PBRs.
Also, there will be a food truck there. Return of the Mac, the mac and cheese truck, will be there for the movie night, serving up all the mac and cheese goodness as well.
How many different kinds of mac and cheese are there?
We've done a mac and cheese bar at the house before, and there was combination style, probably about 30 or 40 different combinations you could have made with just what we had.
How many mac and cheeses do they have on a truck?
I mean,
I need to know about this.
there's
life.
probably still a decent selection.
Sweet.
I know they have a number of different pastas and cheeses and meats and stuff to choose from, so.
I need like shells and cheese with pulled pork in it and bacon.
I have a feeling that's probably doable.
That's a thing I need in my life.
Well, the way you find out is going on the 23rd of February
I'll have to go do that.
to Strange Ways. All right, so now under the rock, paper, scissors, we're going to do 1, 2, 3 throw, and the best 2 out of 3 gets to decide their
Shit.
choice in the matter here.
I haven't done rock, paper, scissors in a while.
Oh, yeah, you're rusty.
I'm a little rusty about it.
All right, here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, throw. Okay, you got rocks, so you win this one. 1, 2, 3, throw. Paper, and you got scissors, so you actually,
Sweet.
in 2...
Did I pull that off? Like, did I clean sweep that?
I know this is only episode 4, but that is definitely the quickest possible rock, paper, scissors that we could do. So,
Fantastic.
yeah. So what do you want to side on?
I'm going to go for the moon landing.
So that you believe that it exists.
I am going for the fact that the moon landing is real.
So from this point on, all that you're going to hear out of my mouth is, well, not that it's much different than normal, just complete horse shit moving forward. So that means that you have to ask the first question of the episode.
Ah, shit. I come up with a question. All right. If the moon landing isn't real, what's up with all that shit that NASA's got from the moon landing? They got rocks, they got, like, moon landers, they got spacesuits and shit. Where'd all that money go?
Well, let's look at 2 things from your question here. You're talking about how did they fake the rocks. Okay, I've been through Arizona. There is not much different from the moon rocks to the rocks that I've seen in formation in Arizona.
Except the moon rocks are fucking gray, and Arizona is, like, sandy, brown, shit, awful Joe Arpaio color.
So you're saying in all of the world there's no place where there's gray rocks?
I mean, there's concrete.
Okay, well, I can't see that as being the one damning fact to prove that they went to the moon is that the rocks are gray. Like, that's...
Well, no, but obviously, like, Arizona's not the place you got them from.
Are there any elements in the moon rocks that don't exist on Earth?
I don't know.
No,
They're fucking geologists.
Yeah, there's no hidden element that's only found on moon rocks. This is all shit that's found on Earth. So the color of the rock...
because the prevailing theory is that the moon is leftover shit from the Earth. That's the prevailing theory. The moon is leftover shit from when they made the Earth.
Okay, so how is the argument that they brought rocks back make any sense as proof if it's leftover Earth stuff? It's just
they
like...
got it from somewhere.
Yeah, like the desert. Or like, I don't know, their backyard. A local construction site. I mean, it could come from anywhere. The thing with the suits, you talk about, where'd all this money go? Why are they building all this just to fake out? I know a number of friends that cosplay at conventions that will
So
make
you're saying
these...
Neil Armstrong was the first cosplayer?
Yes.
That's what you're saying?
Neil Armstrong cosplayed as a astronaut. And honestly, some of the outfits that I've seen for cosplay are so much more intricate than a spacesuit that, especially in 60s era spacesuit, that I can't see that outfit in cosplay style costing more than a couple $100. So where did all the money go? That's the prevailing theory for those that believe the truth, that is, there is no moon landing, that the moon landing was A, a means to one-up the Russians, and B, a means to funnel money into Black Ops programs by saying that it was for NASA. So that's where the money went. That's the reason for it. And moon rocks be damned. Neil Armstrong's a cosplayer.
I mean, okay, so at the same time then, explain to me that photo of Earth taken from the fucking moon. How the fuck did they take that if they didn't go there? They just make some shit? They didn't have Photoshop in the 60s, dude.
Yeah, but they did have the ability to... I mean, there were plenty of camera effects that existed at that time. slow fades using a projector to project a picture, or artist rendition. I mean, there's photorealistic artists that existed even back then. It's not new, this talent. So being able to create a believable picture of the Earth is not out of the realms of possibility.
All right, so the next question is, if it was that big of a deal, like, what, and that much of a faked, holy complete horseshit, what about the three guys that died in the Apollo 1 test that just burned the fuck alive in the fucking capsule? Like, did they just die for absolutely nothing? Just to fuck with the Russians? And like, no, we're gonna do this like 17 more times. It's cool. We'll just kill some more guys.
Well, the argument is whether or not the space or the moon landing happened. It is not whether or not they actually attempted to get there on their own right.
So you're saying that they just couldn't finger fuck it out after a bunch of tries? It was like, fuck it, we'll just fake it.
Well, it's like your friend that's the musician that really tries to make it and then ends up working at the gas station for the rest of their life because they just don't have the talent. That was NASA in the 1960s. Is that they really thought to themselves that they were going to be able to. Oftentimes with technologies, they start something with the expectation that technology will make itself available by the time they're at that point.
That sounds like a buddy of mine's ex-girlfriend.
Just waiting for the technology to exist.
They just kept trying until she just faked it because she was tired of dealing with it.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's what NASA was doing, was just like a shitty girlfriend that's like, he can change, I know it. But with science.
But with science.
Science doesn't hurt me on purpose.
Science kills people.
Science does kill people.
Like, those three dudes just burnt to a crisp in like seconds.
Yeah, and
like NASA just didn't want to talk about it for like 4 years. Like, we're not going to talk about that time that we just incinerated three guys.
And that's the worst part of this, is that at that point, with those missions or those attempts, those astronauts, or attempted astronauts, because they weren't yet, they were just dudes. I think you have to go through the atmosphere before you're officially an astronaut. You have to astro. They're just a knot at that point.
All right, so if you're saying that moon landing's fake, are we also contesting the reality of the several dozen people who went out of the atmosphere and orbited several times before we tried to finger fuck our way the whole way to the moon?
I'm not going to say one way or the other on that aspect of things, because I know that we have the capabilities to shoot things in a direction. So the idea
and bring them back.
And well, no, you shoot them in a direction far enough into the atmosphere where they're out of the atmosphere, but then gravity pulls them back into the Earth's gravity, and then they parachute down. That doesn't take a lot of like specific planning. That's not shooting.
I mean, it kind of does, because if you catch it at the wrong fucking angle, you also incinerate. Just look at the Columbia shuttle. They caught that thing at the wrong angle with a missing fucking tile, and all those motherfuckers burnt the fuck up.
But it's not like the moon landing, which is like shooting a bullet with another bullet.
What?
To shoot a space capsule into space and hit a moving target like the moon from that great a distance, it's like hitting one bullet with another bullet that's traveling.
Yeah, except that first bullet's the size of a goddamn moon.
No, the second bullet would be the goddamn moon.
Well, one of them is the size of a fucking moon.
Okay.
It's kind of easy to hit.
Not from that far away.
Particularly when it moves at a specified rate of speed at a specified constant distance. Also, okay, so the next dumbass question I've got here for this shit is, if the moon landing was faked, what happened for the 2 weeks to these three astronauts that everyone clearly watched leave the atmosphere? What were they doing? Just in fucking Tahiti, eating drinks all fucking week?
Dude, I basically did that when I started watching the remake of Battlestar Galactica. Like, I just huddled up in my house and watched Battlestar for like 2 weeks, and nobody heard from me until I was done.
But everyone watched them take off. They watched them get on the goddamn gantry, go up the elevator, walk into the thing.
No, they
into
watched
the fucking spaceship
video
and leave.
footage of them doing that could have been recorded earlier.
No, people were actually there at Cape Canaveral. They watched this shit happen.
No, they watched the rocket take off.
They still watched people get in it. There are people who were there. They're like, no, I totally saw it happen. I was fucking there.
This isn't like a fucking magic show where they spun the rocket around to make sure that there was no way for them to exit. Like, it would have been very easy for them to walk into the rocket.
Now I want Penn Jillette to come to show you the moon landing is real. And be like, this is how I did it. It's totally real. Do you know how we did it? We actually went to the fucking moon. That's what happened.
Like, what is it? Daryl Hannah from Attack of the 50-Foot Woman shows up and just like pulls the curtain away from the rocket ship and just shows it and then spins it around. And
Yeah, fuck it. Let's do that.
yeah. There's
She
like some
sits on it, you
some
know?
like cheesy jazz music playing in the background as they're like, putting rings over the top of the rocket ship to show there's no strings.
Meanwhile, Teller's just sitting there dick with his phone because this is horse shit. He's like, this is bullshit. The moon landing was real. You're stupid.
And then they get the 3 X's on America's Got Talent, and then the rocket ship goes into the finals. I think this is a good plan.
That's because it was real. The way they faked the moon landing was they actually went to the goddamn moon. It was cheaper and easier to just go to the moon than it was to fake that fucker.
Then how do you explain all of the obvious signs from Stanley Kubrick that he was involved in the filming of the fake moon landing?
Because he's a fucking lunatic. That's why. He just made some shit up to go with the conspiracy because it got him free press for his weird, awful movies that take too fucking long to watch. He's made one good movie, and it was The Goddamn Shining. That was it. And everything else just took too long to watch. I'm sorry, 2001: A Space Odyssey is a boring as fuck movie to watch. Have you watched it? It takes forever, no one talks until the end of the movie, and it's fucking shit. There's a bunch of fucking apes staring at a goddamn domino. That's not cinematic masterpiece, it's horse shit. It's like shitty, modern VCU film student art made in the 60s that everyone thinks was fucking genius. It's terrible.
And had moon landing scenes or scenes on the moon that seemed more realistic than the footage that NASA gave out.
Yeah, because he had time to keep doing it 15 times till it looked right. They didn't have 15 tries and takes to go fix the fucking moon footage and go look at it in post and go, no, that looks like shit, let's go reshoot it. They had one shot to fucking get that shit.
And Kubrick still nailed it.
He fucked it up! It's because he wasn't even there! If they'd have sent him, maybe they could have filmed it right. You got this fucking weird kook in a spacesuit with a camera doesn't work shit. You sent 3 guys to the fucking Air Force up there and go, oh yeah, film this shit. They're like, dude, I know how planes work. Fuck a camera.
Didn't they play golf the first trip to the moon? According to footage, they hit a golf ball.
I don't know.
Because with all the complaints about how hard it was to figure out how much fuel it would take to get there and back, and stripping everything down to the bare bones in order to deliver the astronauts to the moon and then back, the fact that they were able to pack fucking recreational equipment on the Apollo mission is astounding to me.
I do know that Buzz Aldrin brought a Scottish Rite Mason flag and planted it on the moon.
They also brought their moon tired rascal scooters along to
no, they brought
around.
a sweet bitchin' moon dune buggy to go tear ass around the moon. Because if you're going to a strange planet, that's exactly the first thing I want to do is tear ass around the moon listening to Van Halen in a dune buggy.
By the way, that's the most American thing you can possibly do. Is the first thing you do when you land on a planet is just
stick a flag in it and tear ass around in your sweet dune buggy. Because America.
It's
Fuck
like
yeah.
Just giant RC cars rolling around on the surface of the moon.
I also fully know full well that if China or someone else went up there and took our flag down, we would go right the fuck back up there to kick their shit over, piss on it, and find a way to piss on it on the moon, and then put our flag back up. Because we actually went there. Fuck you.
Right back to that giant warehouse, and then put our flag back up, and then refilm us. Lighting the Chinese flag on fire, which wouldn't even make sense in space, but they would just go for it.
You couldn't light it on fire. It was a vacuum. But you could definitely piss on it. There's definitely got to be a way to piss on their flag on the moon.
Well, speaking of, like, not being able to light stuff on fire and, like, how one would actually piss on a flag in space, there's some controversy over the way people are moonwalking in the footage, that it seems more like they're being held up by wires than it being less gravity than Earth's gravity.
What?
If you look at the footage, it seems a little bit staggered. Like maybe they did a not motion capture, but they did like they do claymation almost in order to make it look like they were walking on the moon.
There's no fucking gravity. If you jump too fucking hard, now you're just junk. You're just space junk. You're just gonna die. They gotta put you on like a zip line so you can get pulled back so you don't fucking die in the vacuum of space, just floating around like trash.
And yet they're able to make perfect footprints in the moon without the dust like flying up and destroying the footprint.
Well, it has a limited amount of gravity. It's not like
So sometimes it has gravity, sometimes it doesn't. Like it's like an indecisive
it
girlfriend.
has reduced gravity.
It's like it only has gravity when it really feels like it wants gravity.
What? Are you high?
Like
Are you high?
if you're like Moon, I would really appreciate it if you had gravity right now. The Moon would be like, no, fuck you. I'm gonna have gravity whenever I want. And then when you're like, you know what, I've gotten used to not having gravity, the Moon's just suddenly like, yeah, no, let's gravity this motherfucker.
Uh, what? I can't with you right now. I literally cannot with you right now. There's a limited amount of gravity in the moon.
You're
It's
saying...
not like ours, like where it's like we've got full on like, no, I'm not gonna fall off the fucking ground. But like if I push real hard off the ground, I can get off the ground here, and eventually I come back down. If I push real hard on the ground there, I can get further off the ground, and then eventually I come back down.
And let's be honest, neither one of us is getting too far off the ground when we jump.
I mean, no.
No.
Not even with the aid of wires.
not,
Alright?
not even with like bungee jumping type situation
Like,
happening.
they've got to get out, like, heavy wires to get my ass off the ground, and the problem is you can see those.
I just had a vision of
Like,
you playing Peter Pan in a stage
Not
production.
even the
and
Wachowski brothers can green screen this shit.
I actually need to see that of your round ass, like, in tights, dressed as Peter Pan, doing one of these, like...
You have weird fetishes, sir, that I'm not participating in.
I need to see this.
I'm not participating in your weird fetish.
I'm going to Photoshop it if it doesn't happen in real life.
It's not going to happen in real life. You're going to have to Photoshop
Okay,
this.
I'm going to make this happen because I think the world needs to see you as Peter Pan.
I don't think the world does.
Which, honestly, the Peter Pan's ability to travel through space makes about as much sense as the Apollo
He
missions.
didn't travel through space!
Second star on the right and straight on till morning. Sounds like he exited the fucking atmosphere and traveled through space,
No!
able to
that's
breathe.
Fucking oceanic navigation! That's not traveling through space. That's like people that don't have a GPS, like, just navigate by the star map, dude. I don't know. Just try not to get lost. Don't drown.
Well,
Fuck
every
you.
Peter Pan movie I've seen, they're traveling into the sky.
Wait, yes, but they're not leaving the atmosphere.
So you're saying that Neverland is an actual place in the ocean somewhere, much like that
it's
island.
It's an acid trip that Robin Williams had before he hung himself in the closet.
Is that the island in Waterworld? Is fucking
Yes,
Neverland?
that's
Like
what
that's
it
the
is.
same
It's the
thing.
last bit of fucking land.
I want to see that sequel where it's like a Peter Pan Waterworld mashup where like Kevin Costner doesn't feel right and then he just sees a fucking flying child just going through the sky next to a ferry and he's like, "Yep, no, I can't deal with this
As
shit."
long as we bring back Dennis Hopper to be the weird pirate again, we're fine.
Dennis Hopper is like the son of Captain Hook, and that's like the whole storyline there. And he comes back to avenge his father's death, which is why he wanted to get to the island in the first place.
So this weird, bizarre, fucking petrified.
Oh my
gator.
god, I need to see this fucking movie. I need to see this movie badly.
Fucking Waterworld. I fucking hate. You know what? Waterworld is more plausible than the moon landing being fake. Fuck you.
Yeah, that they have cigarettes that aren't like completely waterlogged.
I mean, you can dry them out on a boat. I've dried out a pack of cigarettes before. I've been that hard up where I got a pack of waterlogged cigarettes. It's like, if I just leave these outside long enough, they will dry out.
They have functioning sea-doos.
I mean, yeah, they got people that could dive and get parts.
Dive and get parts, but also they have access to oil because of the oil tanker. But it's been so long, they call it black stuff because they don't know that it's called oil.
Well, yeah, I mean, that they're stupid.
Also, if it was in a tanker, it's more than likely crude oil, and it would have had to been refined at some point. So that in and of itself,
Which is still more plausible than the fact that we didn't actually go to the moon. We spent all this money for 20-some-odd years that we just didn't go to the moon. That was the only we could think of to fuck with the Russians. Like, let's fake some shit, guys. If we really wanted to fuck with the Russians on the cheap, we could have just nuked them. We had enough nukes to nuke the entire planet like 15 times.
that actually goes
we
counter to your
still
point.
do.
That goes counter to your point that we weren't going to spend that much money just to fuck with the Russians, but nuclear proliferation in its own right is kind of fucking with the Russians. We don't need 20,000 plus nuclear weapons. 6 placed properly in the right spots around the planet would destroy life on the planet. 6
Right.
nuclear weapons, so 20,000 plus.
Well, I mean, once you're locked into a serious drug collection, just go as far as you can.
Well, it was the ultimate dick showing contest between Russia and the United States. They got that, so it was keeping up with the Kremlin instead of the Joneses. It was
Nobody
trying
serves, the Russians never actually went to the moon or tried to fake it either. They just kept launching dogs and commies into space and letting them die there. That was their entire space program. It was like, well, you can go to Siberia or die in space. Either way, you're dying, and it's going to be cold. Like, those are your options.
Which actually, that brings up a point. Why was the United States so upset about Russians launching commies into space? That sounds more like our ideology back in the
Well,
1950s
no,
and 60s.
because it took away from the concept of throwing them out of helicopters.
Mm.
Because that was way more entertaining to throw them out of helicopters.
Well, because you could see them fall that way.
You can watch them tumble, like head over feet, and you can hear that nice splat when they hit the water. It's like concrete from like 75 feet up.
Also, if you launched enough Russians into orbit, there would have been like, instead of Saturn's rings, it would have been just a bunch of dead Russians called like the vodka belt or something that would be circling the Earth.
We just have that much space trash.
And just,
we already have enough space trash. We don't need a bunch of dead bodies floating around up there in like a weird, shitty Siberian commie graveyard, just floating around with dead Russians and dogs and monkeys. At least if you throw them in the water out of a helicopter, the fish will eat them.
Just like a cock ring of dead Ruskies around the Earth's center there. Like,
but why would they quit? Why would they go to the center? Like, are they just gonna be just stuck wherever they landed in space?
well, I just figured that there's going to be so many of them that it would need the widest circumference of the
It's like
Earth.
the Van Allen belt.
Yeah, it's like when you start wearing your pants a little bit lower than
the Van Victor belt.
The Van Victor belt.
It's just a shitload of dead Russians in space. At least we didn't launch a bunch of dead guys into space. Like, we only killed them on the ground. Like, all of our dead NASA employees that died in the process of getting to and from the moon or otherwise in and out of space, they all died within the atmosphere. No one died outside of our atmosphere.
So when we fuck up right away. We don't wait.
We like to keep it local, all right? We're keeping it fucking Earth local.
What is this? Is this like kill local instead of shop local?
Fuck yeah! Support local music, right?
Support local accidental murder of astronauts.
Support local accidental death. You know, kill your people inside the atmosphere of your planet, all right? Don't litter, all right? Don't litter the goddamn solar system with your dead fucking Russians.
I need to see this sci-fi movie now where there's just a shit
This is
ton
why
of...
aliens won't visit us. We put trash into space and just leave it there. Like, we didn't even bother to try to push it towards the sun where it'll burn up. We're just like, fuck it, leave it up there. Eventually, Mir will crash. Like, we don't know. We're done with the space station. I don't know. Just kick it over that way. I don't fucking know. Like, we have littered space with garbage because we've been to space and the moon. We went all the way up there, just took a flag in it. How does that not sound like the most American fucking thing you can do? We're gonna go find the last place that no one's been to yet and go jam our big dick fucking flag in it and go, fuck you, we were there.
It sounds about as American as saying that we were going to do it, faked it, and then went, spent $42.
This was 60s American. We actually did it. Now we just fucking fake it and just put some orange dildo in a shitty wig up. I'm totally going to do this. There's like 5 guys like fact-checking like, actually you're not.
Nowadays, we would just create an event on Facebook for America that said went to the moon, and that would be it. There wouldn't be any footage or anything. Yeah, fake event.
Just a fake event like the fucking ICP playing the inauguration is a thing. But in the 60s, we at least tried to do shit. Usually did.
You send an invite to Russia just to be a dick, and they just answer maybe on
like,
the invitation.
They ignore it and remove themselves from the event.
Or they start an event on the same day just to try to fuck with your event.
India puts up a comment. I was there first. Show Bob and Vagine.
Or like, are there gonna be food trucks?
Probably. There's probably like a freeze dried ice cream truck just floating around the moon, waiting to sell fucking shitty, crusty ice cream sandwiches to people that think it's neat to eat astronaut food, which tastes fucking terrible.
And let's be fair, there's already a Starbucks on the moon. Like,
I mean, there probably is.
Whether or not.
2.
Whether or not we actually landed on the moon, they're probably across the street from each other on Moon Street, the main drag on the moon, directly
There's probably
across.
2 Starbucks there across from each other. There's a 7-Eleven and a Verizon store.
And a closed up Radio Shack.
Well,
like they hit early, but they're already out of business.
There's a shut down Radio Shack and like a still like under construction Walmart, and they're building a Wawa.
And an old Blockbuster that converted to a Super Saver.
Oh.
Something.
There's a bank that just used to be a bank, but now it's like a fast food restaurant. But they closed up the drive-through window, and it was a bank, then it was a Subway. Now it's like a payday loan place.
Oh. Lunar savings and loan is definitely.
Now it's like a payday loan, like title loans fast. Come here, give us the title to your moon buggy. We'll totally give you a loan, bro. At 48%, totally not predatory at all.
Instead of like a rent-a-center, it's just like for old Apollo things that were just left on the moon.
There's a pawn shop up there. They're just trying to sell you like the moon lander we left there like 50 years ago. It's just been sitting there in the trash.
It's vintage at this point.
Yeah.
It's like a classic car almost.
Kind of. Only you definitely can't put tags on it.
You get the antique plates on the old Apollo ships.
You go to DMV, you're like, oh, you haven't paid the property taxes in 40 years. Sorry, your tags are frozen. For the record, Virginia DMV can kiss my ass.
What is nice about them, though, is after 25 years, you don't have to worry about the emission laws for lunar landers.
Well, there is that, because they clearly didn't give a shit when they launched the stuff into space.
No, God, no.
It's just like, to put a shitload of liquid oxygen. We're just going to burn liquid oxygen into space. Fuck it.
They basically looked like the Reaver ships in Firefly, where there's just like smoke pouring out of the back of them.
Smoke pouring out of the back of it. The whole thing's covered in tinfoil and space blanket and bubble wrap. And I don't understand how the fuck they got there without dying anyway, but they did it. I definitely know they did it.
I mean, I've seen explorers. You can turn an old spinny cart from the carnival into a spacefaring vehicle. So, if anybody can do it, if children can do it,
well,
if Ethan Hawke can do it, then anybody can do it. Another thing that is used as an example of why the moon landing didn't happen is in a multitude of pictures, you do not see stars in the sky, which seems kind of insane considering you're in fucking space.
I mean, they're real fucking far away.
Yeah, they're real
You're
far
aware
away
of how fucking far away stars are, right?
Yes, they're further away on Earth. Or some of them, at least. So how is it we can see them on Earth, but you can't see them on the moon?
Because they're really fucking far apart. They're out of the frame.
They're out of the frame.
They're out of the focus of the frame, dude.
So you're saying that on Earth, we can see all the stars, but we're just so close to them at that point that they're further apart that we can't get them all in the same shot? It's like that picture where you want all your friends to get together in a photo.
So you zoom way the fuck out.
But your friend Steve
really
is
tiny.
just like barely out of frame and you can just see the side of his arm. Like it's like one of those.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like a Wonderland bathroom picture.
I'm going to fucking Google this right now.
Okay.
I think you're full of shit. I'm going to Google this shit right now because I think you're full of shit.
There are so many pictures from...
Why are there no
And now we
stars?
get to the juicy part of this audio podcast where we sit in silence while you fucking Google. Like
Yep,
that's
I'm
really...
Googling this shit
that's,
because this is horse shit. You can kiss my ass.
You're just mad because I stumped you.
I don't know. That's what this podcast is. He's a phone a friend. I'm going to plug my phone in and call my buddy that actually works in astrophysics. We're like, Rick, tell me why the fuck there are no stars in the moon photos.
Oh, Jesus.
Why can't stars be seen in moon in space? I'm going to look... I don't know. It's horseshit. It's horseshit. That's why. Because
Is that the answer on Google? I don't know. It's horse shit.
Well, I'm trying to read this like quickly without just stopping for 10 minutes while I Google some shit. Well, that's what I thought it was. It's fucking exposure time. 60s cameras suck dicks. That's why.
So they have the capabilities to go to the fucking moon.
Right.
But they
But in
couldn't...
have you seen old photographs? They look like ass.
Yeah, we're not talking 1842 photos where it's like old fucking gunslingers.
It's like some old-timey dickhead with like a flash over here that's on fire.
Yeah,
He's
like-
got a tent over his head.
It's like, it's not old fucking like death photos of Native Americans when we were like in frontier West times. This is like the mid 1960s.
Which are still really shitty
Okay,
photographs.
let's put it this way. Iggy and the Stooges were around then when this was going on.
Well, he's still alive now, but he's just made out of heroin jerky.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh God, those tummy memes where he's got the frowny
Creepy.
face stomach. It's
creepy.
just the
It's
best.
Creepy. I'm convinced that when he dies, they're gonna crush him up into powder, and someone can shoot him up and overdose immediately because he's made of nothing but heroin and melanin at this point. There's
We
nothing
know
left in
who's
him.
going to inject that into his veins.
I mean, probably it's gonna be either Ozzy or Keith Richards. one of the two.
Keith Richards is what I was thinking. Yeah.
I mean, that's gonna be the battle at the end of the world. It's not gonna be like fucking cockroaches and like the last 5 humans and a beat up old Volvo. It's gonna be fucking Keith Richards fighting Ozzy to the death because it's the end of fucking Highlander and this is what's happening.
It's
Fucking
gonna
Ozzy is the goddamn Kurgan and fucking Keith Richards insists there can only be one.
it's gonna be like those apes in Space Odyssey, but instead of fighting over a bone, it's a vial of
Iggy Pop's fucking
Pop's
remains.
that they're trying to snort.
They're trying to fight over that, like the last pack of cigarettes.
And then they let it go, and it just flies through the air in slow motion. And then there's a space baby that's, I don't know, Lenny Kravitz or something, that's just like floating around.
A space baby.
Space
Lenny
baby
Kravitz. Of all
Kravitz.
things. That's where we're going with. Not even like a weird genetically engineered clone of fucking Hendrix.
I could have gone
It's
worse.
Fucking Lenny Kravitz.
I could have gone worse and gone like Jack Johnson or something.
Jack White.
Jack White. That's actually better.
Oh.
He's already pasty like a baby. So
He is a creepy, weird, gross-looking Johnny Depp cosplayer-looking motherfucker.
Now, the documentary that I mentioned earlier, I want to mention it by name, is Room 237, which is about the filming of The Shining and all the Easter eggs in it, basically stating that Kubrick was involved with the fake moon landing filming and that he was actually feeling really weird about it. I mean, there's a sweater showing the Apollo launch. There are a number of homages to numbers used in the movie are in reference to aspects of the moon landing. It's an incredibly interesting and important documentary for those that are aware that the moon landing was faked.
It's horseshit.
And I thoroughly suggest anyone that is critical of our ability to get to the moon, check out that documentary, Room 237.
Did you just like name drop a fucking documentary here?
Yes.
God damn it.
Because, I mean, there's enough play on this being significant that there was a legitimate documentary made about, and if it's a documentary, it's not just some bullshit on a 200-person Facebook group. Like, this is...
You're basically trying to tell me that Spinal Tap is real right now. You're trying to tell me that Spinal Tap is real.
Well, there were aspects of Spinal Tap that were in reference to things that occurred in real life.
But it was still fake.
Did Spinal Tap ever tour?
I don't fucking know.
Yes, they did.
So did fucking goddamn Metalocalypse.
Yes, correct.
That wasn't a real band either. That was a cartoon.
That was a cartoon band. But Spinal Tap was actually a band.
Basically, at this point, I'm waiting for you to tell me that Benny and the Jets are on tour at this point.
I would go see that show.
Of course you would. You would go see Benny and the Jets and Josie and the goddamn Pussycats.
I think Katie, for sure, Ms. Turbo, would go see a Josie and the Pussycats show.
I'm sure she would. Did she go watch that god-awful live-action movie they made?
I don't know. We have not discussed it. I don't know if either, like, it just hurt her so bad that she's blocked it out of her memory, or
Show me on the doll where the movie touched you.
where Josie and the Pussycats touched you. Yeah.
I feel like that's a Fallout theme night.
Now, there were a few people after the initial Apollo mission that supposedly landed on the moon. Supposedly. So, why did we stop?
It's fucking expensive. We did it already. You don't go to Disney World every year once you've been there. You've like, I've been to fucking Disney World. I'm done now. Call me when there's new shit at Disney World. Maybe I'll go. There's not new shit happening on the moon.
So basically, the only reason that we went to the moon in the first place was to show our gigantic American dicks.
Yes, to see if there's shit there worth dealing with. Well, no, that's one of the reasons they're talking about going back now. So like, wait, we might be able to go mine some shit there. We're not even like talking about going to that moon. We're like, we don't need to show it to like Iran that fuck you, we can go to the moon and nuke you. We're like, we need to go to the moon because maybe there's some shit there that we have to buy from the Chinese. That's the point we're talking about going back to the moon now. We're like, if I go dig a big enough hole in the fucking moon, which is made out of leftover Earth shit, maybe I'll find some more of the same shit that's already here on fucking Earth that's really expensive here. If I can just go dig it up over there, it might be fucking cheaper.
There was also a lot of talk that the moon landing itself was not only a distract or a one-up on the Russians, but also a distraction from the Vietnam War. That oftentimes when we're in the midst of
I still feel
combat,
like everyone was paying attention to the Vietnam War, like a lot. In fact, my record collection tells me that everyone was paying attention to the Vietnam War.
And it's not to say that it worked necessarily to distract, but some fantastical announcement is usually made in the times of combat by American government.
I mean, as far as distraction go, I would gladly take landing on Mars as a distraction from the 18-year-long war in the Middle East that won't go the fuck away.
So I'm putting together our rationale for going to the moon, and
because fuck you, that's why.
The
That's
means justifying the ends. It wasn't primarily for scientific reasoning. It was basically to go just to see if we can. and to do it before the Russians. So with that stellar rationale on why we should go to the moon, what makes more sense? That we spent billions upon billions of dollars on the technologies necessary to go to the moon well before anybody in their right mind would think that we'd be able to, or put all that money off to the side and be able to use under the table for black ops programs, or just line people's pockets and use a much significantly smaller amount of money to fake the landing, because we don't have to go there in the first place because it doesn't fucking matter. And then everybody involved gets a lot richer, and we are still proving the same point that we were going for.
So what you're trying to tell me is that NASA is a secret funnel for the CIA?
I'm saying NASA in that circumstance. I don't think entirely, or maybe not how it started. That might have been how it turned out. NASA isn't even really around that much anymore. It's still around, but in a much smaller degree than it used to.
They're actually kind of largely now like a regulatory agency for private space shit. Like, look, you could use our shit, just don't blow it up. Because they'd rather just let the guy from SpaceX just launch his junk into space 15 times, and you got Richard Branson going, I'm going to take a tour of space, and I'm going to charge you $1 million to go with me. And it sells. There's assholes with, like, that kind of money to spend. Just pay Richard Branson to go fly around a circle around the planet. Like, basically, you're just driving around looking for parking at this point. You're paying $1 million to drive around looking for somewhere to park.
So, basically, NASA is that cool friend that's been collecting movies and records for years, and you go over and you're like, oh, I haven't seen this one, or I haven't listened to this one, and he goes like, dude, I'll let you borrow it, but you just got to be really cool about it.
He's more like that cool friend that like still has an 8-track player, and they'll let you listen to the 8-track you just bought at the thrift store on it to see if it was cool or not.
Okay,
that's what it is.
All right.
Like, they've got like the launch pads and shit, but it's also still kind of like that angry mafia guy that if like you just like make your own new 8-track player, he comes over and busts your fingers with a ball peen hammer because fuck you, government.
I just kind of figure NASA is a little bit closer to like a guy that has like an old Volvo in his garage that it doesn't really work that well anymore, but he keeps saying it's like, no, we're gonna get this going again. Trust me. Like, I know it hasn't worked in a while.
That is oddly specific, sir.
It fucked up real bad the last time he tried, but trust me. We're going to work out the kinks. I know we don't have a whole lot of money to put into it right now, but eventually we're going to get this up and running. And when we do, it's going to be badass as shit.
I feel personally attacked here.
That's basically what NASA is at this point.
And to be fair, the one in the garage does start more reliably than the one in the driveway.
Okay.
Just saying. That's because it was built in 1970.
It's hoopty NASA.
Yeah. Whatever. I'm pretty sure if they tried to launch a Volvo to the moon, it would actually get there.
I mean, if you put it on the front of a missile, yeah.
Well, yeah.
And it would just get some right front fender damage.
Yeah, exactly.
Upon impact.
Exactly. It'd have like, there's a ding and I cracked a headlight. But you should see the thing I hit. It's fucking toast.
I hit the moon.
You hit the moon and it's like half of it's missing. Sorry. I hit the moon with a Volvo and broke the moon.
It's a giant fissure.
This is why they didn't let the Swedes go to the moon. Because those assholes would have built a spaceship shaped like Thor's hammer and launched it clean through the fucking moon and got it stuck in Mars.
Also, the Swedes were too busy having gorgeous sex with each other and filming it in order instead of going to the moon.
Well, and making that weird furniture.
Yeah, that weird, awesome furniture.
Tiny meatballs.
Could you imagine how long it takes to put together a Swedish rocket ship? Like,
you know what's gonna happen is you're gonna do that. There's like a part missing, and you gotta wait 6 weeks for this part to show up. Because if you try to do it without it, it just explodes immediately.
You just don't have the front nozzle of the thing, but you have 4 extra fins for no reason.
Like, it's missing a bolt, and it's like a critical load-bearing bolt. They're like, yeah, sorry, Hans over there forgot to put it in the fucking box.
Oh my god, I need the Swedish, and IKEA specifically to have a space program, the IKEA space program.
I mean,
I think it's probably...
I'm just reminded now of Futurama where he bought the IKEA particle collider, and it's missing a fucking part, and it explodes immediately.
I think IKEA space program sounds like a good name for this episode.
That sounds terrifying. It sounds fucking terrifying. They have lingonberry juice. When they have like freeze-dried lingonberries in space, that's IKEA?
That's
drinks?
all they and meatballs. That's about it.
Freeze-dried Swedish meatballs and lingonberries. That's all you get. You get like the worst fucking backup of constipation by the time you get back.
Well, we got Tang. It's not like we're doing a whole lot better.
Did we make that? I thought the Chinese made that.
No, Tang was our thing.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And space ice cream, I think, was the other one.
I know space ice cream was the thing we did because, you know, Americans, first thing we want to do with space, eat a fucking ice cream sandwich.
Yeah, America's like, we need dune buggies, ice cream, at Tang, and golf clubs. Like, let's fucking party.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. Well, they had to find a way to sell this to the average middle American fucking moron in the 60s, which was, we're going there to show up the Ruskies. Pay no attention to Myron back here in the glasses talking about he wants to learn shit. No, fuck that shit. No one gives a shit about learning. Fuck learning. Learning's stupid. We're going to the moon to tear ass around in a dune buggy, and we're going to eat some ice cream, we're going to stick a flag in that motherfucker, and we're going to give Russia the finger from space as soon as it comes around on the planet dial again, and then we're going home. Oh, but we fucked that up, so the air filter's screwed up, so some guys could possibly die like the third time around.
I'm just picturing the Apollo missions like that dude at the end of Doctor Strangelove that's like straddling the bomb and just going, woohoo!
Fucking Slim Pickens.
Yeah, Slim Pickens. He should have been the one that went to the moon.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of those guys were from Texas.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of those guys are from Texas.
You know what they make in Texas, boy? Steers and astronauts.
Yeah,
That's about it.
astronauts.
You don't have horns
And I don't
on
see
you.
any horns on you, so guess what? We're shooting your ass into space, boy.
And on that note, we're right here at the tail end of Quite Contrary. We talked about nothing for 45 minutes. Thank you so much.
Someone's going to listen to it like, what the fuck is wrong with these
Yeah,
people?
pretty much. I'm assuming that's going to happen every episode. But
Fucking
thank you guys
Freemasons and moon conspiracies.
for listening to this episode. Reminder again, the 23rd of February, we're doing the Beautiful Disasters movie night at Strange Ways. Also, every first and third Monday at Fallout is Geeks Under the Influence Trivia, hosted by yours truly. You might see Kron there yelling dumb shit at me as I'm trying to
Probably
do trivia questions. And every second and fourth Tuesday at Wonderland, both in Shockoe Bottom in Richmond, Virginia. All the links that are on the homepage at gypodcast.com. Much thanks to our guest, Kron, for coming on to
Thanks for having me.
to just yell about the Ruskies for 45 minutes.
I do hate commies.
Yes, I know you do.
I hate commies almost as much as I love America.
You love America,
And whiskey.
Volvo, and hate commies. Yeah,
Yep.
you know that's about right. So we'll see you again next week for another episode of Quite Contrary. Definitely subscribe and rate us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. And you rate us, it brings us up in the ratings, gives other people a chance to listen to this amazing podcast. And thank you so much for the use of All This Time from Jonathan Colton on his album Solid State. That is available at jonathancolton.com. Links to that are on our links page at guipodcast.com. We'll see you guys here next time for another episode of Quite Contrary.
GUIPodcast.com.
We've got another Geeks Under the Influence Network event coming your way in February. February 23rd at Strange Ways Brewing Company. We've got Beautiful Disasters, our B-movie night. It's a monthly surprise movie night celebrating schlock, presented by our hosts of the Beautiful Disasters podcast that'll be coming soon to you on the Geeks Under the Influence Network. For the month of February, our theme is rock musical. The Schlock-O-Meter checklist for this movie states Space Alien New Wavers versus High School Rockabillys, A Tentacle Monster, Crazed Killers Loose from the Asylum, and One of the Jacksons. You have to come out for this movie. We got brews, we've got a mac and cheese truck, Return of the Mac, and it's free from 7:30 to 10 p.m. on February 23rd at Strange Ways Brewing Company, 2277 Dabney Road in Richmond, Virginia. Come out, bring your friends, and we'll see you there.